the section on bending. Bending is something that's really great to learn as you can start to use it to manipulate notes and to really give your playing a great next level of sound to it. But it's also incredibly hard to get right. And the reason for this is there's such a small margin for error to still be able to sound good. Whenever you pick a note, anywhere you hit in the fret is the same note. And the reason for this is because your fret cuts off the string. So anywhere you hit in the fret, it'll be the same exact tone, the same exact pitch, right? However, if you bend a note, you can bend it too high, you can bend it too low, right? There's a lot of different ways you can bend it that don't sound very good. And it takes a long time to be able to learn to bend notes right and to hit them perfectly. And you hear all the time, even great guitarists will still miss some bends with their notes just because, like I said, there's such a small margin for error. So a great way to practice your bends is to hit a note and then practice bending to it. Now there are two types of bends. You have half bends and you have full bends. Half bends are bends that go up one fret, and full bends are bends that go up 2 frets. And this is what I mean by that. If you were to try to bend to this note, to the high E, okay? And you were to go 1 fret down, right? That would be a half bend. That's a half bend. If you were to do 2 frets down, you're using a full bend. Now what you want to do is, to practice this, is you want to bend, you want to pick a note, pick a fret, and I usually, to start out, a great fret to start with is the 12th fret, the high E up here, the 12th fret of the first string. And you want to bend into that note. So hit the note, because this way you'll see if you're on or off. Okay, it's about right. Off. Under, it's flat, right? And you'll see if you're hitting the note or not. Now, the way you need to bend, especially to start, is using a 3-fingered bend. When we did vibrato before, we worked on getting 3 fingers to start and moving around, right? The reason for this is because that gives you strength to do something, and I'll prove it to you right now. I want you to put all 3 fingers on the 12th fret of the first string, and I want you to give it a good bend. Okay? Now I want you to do the same thing with only your ring finger, right? So the same finger that was at the lead of the bend, do it just with that finger. It's incredibly hard. It's actually pretty painful to do because you don't have the support and the strength around it. So to start, you should only be doing 3-fingered bends. Okay? Again, to start, there are exceptions later, and you can do 1- and 2-fingered bends, but that's, later down the line. So to start, you want you to hit a note, 3 fingers under, and bend up. And if you notice, if you're off like that, you can do it again. And keep doing it over and over to build up your muscle memory. Then you can do 2 frets. Right? And you keep going on and on and on, and every time you're off, you'll know it because you plucked the first fret first. Every time you're on, you'll know it because it'll match up with your ear. Okay? So that's how to practice bends. Here's how to use bends. And this is something that confused me for a long time. Because what happens is when you bend, you need to bend up to the next note on a scale. Now, I do want to say that technically you don't always have to stay in scale, but it's a great rule of thumb to start off with. Because there are exceptions, but it would always confuse me why certain bends would sound good and why certain ones wouldn't. For instance, if I did this, that bend would sound good, and I'm only giving it a half bend. So why is it, though, that when you go up to here, it sounds horrible? And the reason was because I wasn't bending to a note on this scale. If you were to take your scale, and you wanted to bend that note, right? Where's the next note in your scale? It's 2 frets up. Which means I needed to do a full bend and not a half bend. And then now the next note's only half or 1, it's a half a bend or 1 fret away. Right? So that's why you can use a half a bend in certain places and you can use a full bend in other. It all depends on the note you're bending up to, not the note you're starting on, right? Now vibrato can be done on any note because vibrato is not really bending. It is a bend, but it's not really bending to anywhere. It's just kind of fluctuating pitch, right? So it all depends on the note that you bend up to, and that confused me for a very long time, okay? So now what you should do, bending takes a long time, and it's very hard to incorporate well, and the easiest way to do this is to start by only using half bends, is to bend your second note in the scale and to bend your fifth note in the scale, meaning here's the second, here's the fifth. Because they're only half bends, they're small bends, and you're bending from the fifth up to the sixth note, and the second note up to the third note. And again, this is very important that you know the pattern and which note is which, so you know when you're on the second note and you're on the fifth note. So I hope that helps clear some things up about bends, and I hope it gets you to start using bends if you've never tried it before and how to practice them. And again, you can do this on any fret. You could go up here. Right? You don't just have to stick to the 12th fret. You can use any fret on your guitar. So practice around, practice bending in your scale, move around, see where you can bend to and from, and see what you can come up with on your own. When you come back, we're going to take a look at the pentatonic scale and how you can start to integrate that. See you guys soon.